Hello. It's getting kind of late where I'm at right now. I'm just getting to bed and gonna read my scriptures and pray and go to sleep. But the Lord gave me this word. Sometimes He likes to talk to me at night when it's quiet, when my kids have went to bed and it's still and quiet and it's dark and I'm not doing much. Probably because I don't have things distracting me and loudness going on in the background, so He's able to come and talk to me clearly. But anyway, He gave me this word. It's concerning kingdom spouse. I don't normally put out words very often about the kingdom spouse. If the Lord puts it on my heart to do so, I will, of course. But He just gave me this download. So yeah. So basically, what the Lord is saying is that this might be a bit of a loaded message, so try to bear with me, right? This message here goes for chosen ones and maybe non-chosen ones. So most people that are on the kingdom spouse journey are chosen ones, and most people that tune in to prophetic words are chosen ones, and most people that come across my messages are chosen ones, unless of course they're haters trying to block me, stalk me, copy me, things like that. But for those that the Lord, that really walk with the Lord and that have a similar calling as to mine, and those who have ears to hear that hear what I'm saying and what other chosen ones are saying, those are the ones who I mostly speak to. So whether you're chosen or not, but if you are on the kingdom spouse journey and you are, I'm not talking about those that have been with someone for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years and you think that that's your spouse. Meanwhile, you and the spouse are full of wicked energy. And I'm talking about the counterfeit. The counterfeits think that they're the real deal, but they're not the real deal. But the reason, and that's part of this message, the reason that the counterfeit thinks they're the real deal is because the Lord is allowing the counterfeit to think they're the real deal. They're not the real deal, but the Lord allows them to think. So you know that you're the real spouse and that they're the counterfeit. The Lord is saying that He's also allowing the counterfeit to think that they're the real spouse and that you're the counterfeit. So that, you think you're the real one, they're the fake one. They think that they're the real one and you're the fake one. And the Lord is allowing this to occur because what it's actually doing is it's growing both of you, okay? And I'll explain more as the message goes on. So how the Lord gave it to me to make it make sense to me and to put it into words for this message is that, how in movies there's the A-list stars, right? So in a movie there's tons of people that it takes to make a movie, right? There's the crew, the director, the producer, music, editors, all kinds of different things. But we're just going to focus on the main characters and then the supporting characters, okay? So with the main characters, so there's characters in movie. This is how the Lord was showing it to me. There's characters in movies. So we're just for there's hundreds of characters that it takes and roles and positions that it takes to make up a movie. But for this word, we're just going to focus on the main people, the main cast, okay? So say in the movies, there's the head main actors, right? And then there's supporting actors, actresses, whatever. So the main characters, even in award shows, there'll be the award given for the best actor, actress in a movie, and then the best supporting actor, actress in a movie, right? And generally the supporting actor, actress, I don't know if this is exactly right, but this is how the Lord gave it to me as an explanation and wants me to explain it this way. They aren't the main attraction, right? They're just they don't have the main roles. They're basically, as it says, they're supporting the main character, right? So the main character is the big deal. They're the head honcho, right? The supporting cast, actor, actress, is the backups, right? Or you could even say how there's the understudies, right? How there's the main character and they're the main character, but the understudy will come in if the main character is sick or can't make it for some reason, they need to take a week off or something, the understudy will come in, right? So the Lord is showing it to me that way to show that these counterfeits, you know that they're the counterfeit and the Lord knows they're the counterfeit, and even deep down they know that they're the counterfeit. But because they've been in this position, either your spouse showers them with, like, spends more attention, so therefore they think they're the real deal, or spends more money on them, or has known them longer. Like, there's something in there that makes them think that they're the main attraction. So it'd be like the understudy thinking that they're the main character. Now, you know and I know that the understudy is not the main character. The understudy is who gets called in if the main character can't come around, right? Or the supporting actress is not the main star, they're the backup one, right? You know that and I know that. But imagine if the understudy or the supporting role thought that they were the main attraction, the main star, okay? So that's what this is. Now, the truth of the matter is that they're not, but they are under the delusion of thinking that they are. And the Lord is saying that the reason that He's allowing them to think that is because it's causing them to grow into being the main star and main attraction for themselves, if that makes sense. So what does that mean? Well, if the understudy thinks that they're the understudy and always knows that they're the background choice or the supporting role or whatever, and they're not the main star, there's a chance they may quit that career altogether and go do something else, right? Because they might be okay with it for a while, but if they start to suspect or think that they're not ever going to become a star or graduate into that role, into being the main attraction, then perhaps after some time they may not think that that gig is for them and they'll go elsewhere, right? So the Lord is saying that in order, I've put out words about this before, is that the Lord's told me that He's using this scenario to grow you as the true chosen one and the true starring role, and the true spouse, your spouse, and the counterfeit, right? But the Lord is saying, he asked me the question, He's like, how can I grow the counterfeit if the counterfeit knows they're the counterfeit or thinks they're the counterfeit? Then they're going to bow out, or they'll quit early, or they'll cut out, or something like that, right? So the Lord has to have your spouse biding them and doing whatever it is. So if this counterfeit knows or thinks to themselves, well, I'm the true spouse, and this is my kingdom spouse and you're the fraud, the Lord is saying He allows them to think that, even though it's not correct, it's delusional, but the Lord is allowing them to think that way. Or if they're sitting there thinking, whatever the circumstance is, this is my spouse, not yours, because they spend more money on me than on you, or they spend more time with me than you, or I've known them longer than you, fill in the blank, right? Like I said, the Lord is allowing the spouse to cater to them in that way, and also allowing this counterfeit, and again, this could be a male or a female counterfeit, just put the roles where it works, this counterfeit to think that they're the main one when it's actually you. Because if they see, like, so it's 2 + 2 = 4, you know it, I know it, everybody knows it, but the Lord is allowing this counterfeit to think that 2 + 2 = 6, okay? Because if the counterfeit realizes that 2 + 2 really equals 4, and it's the truth of the matter, the real truth, and that they've been fleeced all this time, then they're going to be angry, they're going to bow out, they're going to stomp and kick their feet, whatever it may be, right? And the Lord doesn't want that. So therefore, He's allowing this counterfeit to think that they're the real deal so that they stick with the program. It's just like going back to the actor example. If the understudy thinks that if they continue to study acting long enough and get more experience with movies, they'll eventually become a star themselves, that positive thought is what's going to have them continue to stay in that line of work. It's what's going to allow them to continue to pursue that career, right? Whereas if they if it dawns on them that I'm always going to be the understudy, I'm never going to be the main role, I'm actually supporting this main character, I've just been a supporting role this whole time, etc., then they might quit that and go back to school and become a doctor or a lawyer, go do something else, right? So the Lord is saying in a symbolic way, he wants these counterfeits to become the main star and main attraction in their life, not in this scenario, because the main star attraction role already goes to you, okay? But the Lord wants them to think that they, so hard to explain. I hope it's making sense. But yeah, you're the main star, the main role, and they're the supporting one, okay? And that's facts. But they think it's the other way around. They think they're the main one and you're the supporting one, okay? But the Lord is saying that if he doesn't do it that way and they see things for how they really are, and they see that you're the main one and they're the supporting one as is, then they will bow out and do XYZ, whatever it may be, right? The Lord only knows. And if they do that, then they're going to miss out on their boat. They're going to miss out on their ship and their chance to one day become the main star in their life, in their situation, in their life, right? Because the Lord has somebody for these counterfeits, right? But the counterfeit is not going to come across that person anytime soon, because the counterfeit needs to work on themselves. They have, so say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being max worked on and 1 being none, you're at like an 8 on for working on yourself and self-development and on your journey with the Lord. These counterfeits are only at like a 2 or a 3. You're leaps and bounds ahead of them when it comes to the self-development journey on the Lord, like the path, right? You're leaps and bounds ahead. So therefore you're far closer to the kit and caboodle than they are, okay? And they also will need to get off this train that they're on at this point in time. Like, they're on the wrong train. Their train needs to head south and they're heading north, or vice versa, whatever. But they're on the wrong train, okay? You know they're on the wrong train. The Lord knows they're on the wrong train. But the Lord is allowing them to believe that they're on the right train so that they can see the sights before he reroutes them onto their actual train, the one they're actually supposed to be on, right? So, and it serves a purpose, right? So while this is going on, it's developing your character, right? As a star. Just like the Lord is saying, like with a main star actor, actress, they don't do one movie and that's that. They, in order to become that headliner, they would have had to have experience, many movies under their belt, a lot of projects, and developed characters and connections and associations and things like that. There would be a lot of seasoning and a lot of experience and developing that goes into that position, right? And so the Lord is saying is that that's you. If this message resonates for you, you're likened to somebody who's seasoned. You've been through a few seasons already. You've been through a few things already. Say on this road, say there's 100 hurdles, you've already crossed 80 of those 100 hurdles. This counterfeit has only crossed like 20 of those hurdles. So they have a long ways to go still yet, right? But if the counterfeit is aware that you've crossed 80 of the 100 hurdles and they've only crossed 20, and they see how far ahead you are, and they realize that this is not their show, they're just the supporter of you and not the main role like you, that then they'll bow out, right? And so the Lord is helping them. Everybody's getting helped in this situation. The Lord is developing your spouse, but the Lord is also developing you, and the Lord is also developing this counterfeit, right? And I understand that the Lord's ways are weird. It's like, well, do you have to choose this route to develop everybody? Like, why do me, the spouse, and the counterfeit have to be developed this way? Can't we be developed in other ways? But this is how the Lord does things, right? He moves in mysterious ways. So he's just saying his purpose is not to be argued with. It is what it is. No man can understand it, right? His ways are higher than our ways. But this scenario, as crazy or convoluted as it may seem, this scenario is developing your character. You may have already seen how your character's been developed over the last couple of years that you've been in this situation, right? It's also subsequently developing your spouse's character, whether you realize it or not, or see it or not, and it's also developing this counterfeit's character as well, right? But the counterfeit has such a long ways to go, and even so does your spouse. But you are the furthest ahead, your spouse is further ahead. This counterfeit is the last in line, right? And this whole time, while they've been thinking they're the main star, they've actually been the supporting role, and you've been the main star. But the Lord knows that if this counterfeit knows that this is really, like what I've just said is what's really it, they're going to bounce out or do this, right? So in order to help this counterfeit develop their character, which they sorely need to become the main attraction in their own show one day that they're going to get to if they continue to develop themselves and follow the Lord's plan, the Lord needs to have them go through these steps. And I've talked about before how like the baby has to crawl before they can walk, before they can run, right? You're already running, your spouse is walking, and this counterfeit is crawling, right? So the Lord is, if you help your baby to crawl, it's going to help them to walk. And if you help your baby with walking, it's going to help them to run. The Lord is helping the counterfeit through these measures, maybe because this is what's needed, I don't know, but through these measures, the Lord is helping the counterfeit to go through the stages. The counterfeit thinks that they can just be 3-month-old and just start running. That's what they think. But obviously that's not humanly possible, right? You would need to get bigger and stronger first, then get your be able to crawl, get your leg muscles developed, then start to walk. Then once they're even further developed, then you can run, right? There's stages to things, right? But this counterfeit thinks that you're crawling and they're running, but it's actually the opposite. You're running and they're crawling, and they are aware of this in some ways, but it's causing whatever it's causing. So therefore the Lord is just allowing the counterfeit to think that even though they're like a 3-month-old baby, he's allowing them to think that they're running, even though they're not, right? When have you ever seen a 3-month-old baby running? So it's not accurate, right? But the Lord is allowing the counterfeit to think it's like this. So you're like a 3-year-old running, and they're like a 3-month-old crawling. And it is what it is. But the Lord has the counterfeit thinking that you're the 3-year-old or the 3-month-old that's crawling, and they're the 3-year-old, 3-month-old that's running. Okay? Now, with that said, you'd say, well, why is that? Because like I said, the counterfeit, if they find out that you're that far ahead and that they're even further, that they're as far back as they are, they're going to throw in the towel or do whatever. And the Lord doesn't want that for them. The Lord wants the counterfeit to get where they need to go and what's for them, right? So this whole time, if you've been feeling like, if what I'm saying, this message resonates with you, then just take it as it is. Just know that this is confirmation for you, okay? But the Lord is saying is that, yes, you have been, if you walk with the Lord and you have been for quite some time, you have already crossed a lot of the obstacles that the Lord had in place for everybody, right? Your spouse is not where you are at either. Obviously, you already know this. They're kind of in between. They have one foot still in where they're the crawling stage, but one foot towards the walking, almost running stage. They're kind of back and forth. It's kind of like the Lord showing me like a 1-year-old that starts walking and they find it tough and hard, so they take a few steps, fall down on their knees and start crawling, because by that time they're a professional crawler. They are very experienced with crawling. They've been crawling for quite some time. They're a master at it. They're a pro at it. But the walking is still a little bit wobbly, right? So sometimes they take those wobbly walking steps and then fall on their knees. And what do you do as a parent if you've ever had a little child? You help, no, let's get back up, let's get walking. You know that your child is physically capable of walking. They're old enough to, they're physically able to, they're just defaulting back to crawling because it's all that they've known. Walking is scary. They don't want to fall. It's new. They're not as good at it. They're not as experienced at it, right? That's kind of what the Lord is saying as an analogy of what's going on with your spouse. And then with this counterfeit, they're just straight crawling, right? They can't even walk if they wanted to. They have a long ways to go. But this whole situation that's going on is training and developing you all. You once were crawling too, but now you're running. Your spouse was once crawling too, but now they're at least they have the ability to be able to walk if putting in the effort to, right? And with the Lord's help and assistance. This counterfeit is still crawling, and they're going to need to crawl for a little while until they can get more strong and developed enough to be able to get to the next stage of walking, right? So I hope that makes sense. I think I explained it pretty good. But anyways, so then the second part is that the Lord is just confirming that, yes, you are the main attraction here. Even if you don't maybe feel like you are, you're the lead character in this scenario. I don't want to call it like a movie, but it's kind of like a movie. But you're the lead character in it, right? And so the Lord was telling me, like, when it comes to like the lead character of a movie, like I was saying, that's who it's about, right? There's other people. I've already said it takes a lot of people to make a movie. It doesn't just take those lead 2-3 main characters, right? It takes all of the behind the scenes people, which is like the Lord and his angels, right? And destiny helpers and things like that. There's always, as we know, an adversary in the movie too, right? Like a foe, like someone who's going against, like a antagonist, is that the right word? But you know what I mean, like something that's a hurdle to cross in the whatever it may be, right? A person, place, or thing in the movie. And so of course that represents like the devil and his his obstacles and the I don't know, but like the devil's like problems that he sends your way, his headaches and stuff, right? And then there's the main cast, and then there's the supporting cast, and the supporting cast play a role, right? Without the supporting cast, the main characters can't develop themselves either, so everybody scratches each other's back. If it wasn't for the main characters, the supporting actors wouldn't know what to aspire to do, right? And if it wasn't for the supporting characters, then the main actors and characters wouldn't have the supporting characters to fall back on or to rely on, right? So the movie wouldn't be what it is if the main characters weren't there, but it also wouldn't be what it was if the supporting cast wasn't there either, right? So the Lord is saying is that everybody's role is important, and of course there would be no movie at all whatsoever if there was no director or producer, right? Which is the Lord. He's doing those big jobs of directing and producing, writing the scripts, all that stuff, right? All the things that go into the production of a movie. You are playing like the main character, the headliner, and then your spouse is working towards becoming a fellow main character and actor as well alongside you, and the counterfeit plays the role of like the supporting role of the supporting cast, right? So the Lord is just basically saying that the counterfeit needs this scenario. They may not realize it right now, but they need you, and they need this scenario going on in order for them to develop themselves. A baby may not want to crawl, it may just want to skip it and just go right to walking and running, but they need that crawling more than they realize, right? Because it develops key things like spatial awareness and motor skills, fine motor skills and gross motor skills and things like that, right? Strengthens their and hand-eye coordination, different things like that. Like it's there's a reason God does things the way that he does, in the way that he does things. And yes, I know there's some babies that skip crawling altogether and go to walking, but that doesn't apply to this case. In this case, what I'm saying is what the Lord is saying is what it is. He's saying that all three of you were likened to babies that were once crawling once at one time. You and your spouse and this counterfeit. You have been at this longer and been going at it in a different way. So therefore you have went through your seasons. You're more seasoned and experienced at this. So you've already went through crawling, now walking, now running, okay? And your spouse is going back and forth between sometimes walking, sometimes crawling, but the Lord is trying to get your spouse running like you, okay? And this counterfeit, he's wanting the counterfeit to go crawling, walking, and running just like you as well, right? But it's going to take some time. And we know that with babies, sometimes some babies crawl for a couple weeks, some babies crawl for a few months. It just depends. Some babies can walk for a little bit and then start to run. Some babies have to walk for a while before they can run. So every child develops physically differently, right? Well, the Lord is saying the same thing goes spiritually. It's like a spiritual development, and that people develop at different paces, just like how, physically young ones develop at different paces too, right? And so how so Lord's just saying, how when say like a daycare or something, or their siblings, and say they're all like 6 months, 6 months to a year apart, say, how sometimes like the baby of the family will crawl the least or the shortest or start walking the fastest or something, and it's possibly because they saw the older sibling or the older children at daycare or whatever crawling first, walking first, running first. It's like, I've heard of this before too, where if there's siblings close together, the first sibling teaches the second sibling how to do things at a faster pace than maybe the first one learned, because the first one didn't have a role model to model off of, right? And so the Lord is saying that's it too, is that you're also like a model for your kingdom spouse and for your counterfeit, is that they are using you as the model, and because of you going, like I made words about this in the past, but because of you pioneering and going through the steps first, it's allowing them to get there quicker than say maybe you did, or at least the options there anyway, because they're at least able to use you as a model, right? Whereas you didn't have a model other than just the Lord taking you through your paces, right? And so the Lord is saying is that this counterfeit in a way actually has it easier than you did, because they have not only your blueprint to follow, but also the spouse's blueprint to follow as well. And so the Lord is saying that he wants to develop all three of you, right, spiritually, and develop your characters and develop you internally, and that's why he's putting you all in this situation. And so even if it doesn't make sense to you, which it makes sense that it doesn't make sense, this is the angle, this is where the Lord's coming from, right? And so the Lord has put it on you that this is your spouse, right? That's correct. The Lord has put it on you that you're the real deal and that they're the fraud. That's correct. You're not the odd man out. They are, they're the wedge. You're not the wedge. Like, this counterfeit thinks that them and the spouse are the duo and you're the wedge. But the truth of the matter is that you and the spouse are the duo and they're the wedge, right? And that's not just your opinion. That's what the Lord, that's facts. 2 + 2 = 4. It is what it is. And the Lord has confirmed that to you. So then you're thinking to yourself, well, that's right. So if that's the case, then why does this counterfeit not get it? Well, the counterfeit doesn't get it because the Lord is allowing the counterfeit to think the backwards way of what you know to be true and what it really is. And like I said already, he's doing that intentionally so that they can learn through this situation just like you have and just like your spouse has, right? And again, don't shoot the messenger. This is just how the Lord moves, right? He like I said, he does his own things, and his ways are higher than our ways. So this must have its own purpose that is going to serve, and amongst other things. But the Lord is saying that he does have As long as the counterfeit goes through the paces properly and crawls and stays on the pathway that they're supposed to, and if things go according to plan, God's plan, then they'll be walking and running in time just like you've been, and then they'll be able to at that point go on to their own journey and be seasoned and be the main character like you are, right? And they will no longer have to be the understudy or be the supporting role. They can be the main attraction. But that, of course, is going to take time because they're not at the level that you're at, right? They may think they are. They may think they're at level 8 and you're at level 2, but it's in reality, it's flip-flopped and it's the other way around. But again, I've already said that's why they need to think that way, is so that they stay on this course, right? And so, yeah, so if the Lord has confirmed to you everything of what I'm saying, then this is just a confirmation of that for you. And maybe this will give you some insight in like some revelation into what it really is and what's really going on, you know. And don't let the devil try to fool you, because the devil is trying to fool you and make you think that you're the supporting role and that they're the main attraction. But it's actually the opposite. It's kind of like the Lord came to you and said a while back ago, you're the main attraction, they're the supporters. And you knew that because that came from the Lord to you. But the devil has been trying recently to try to make you switch it and think that you're the supporting understudy and they're the main characters, because that's what they think. But the only reason they think that is so that they can continue on the same journey that you're on to get where you're at someday, right? So don't listen to that. What the Lord told you is what it is, right? And so let this be a confirmation of that to you. And again, just a reminder that the main characters are the main characters, but there's awards given for the supporting actor and actress. There's an award given for the main actor and actress. So meaning that you can't have the best production of the main characters without good supporting cast either, and vice versa. That supporting cast needs you. So this counterfeit needs you. They may not think they do, but they do, because you're serving, like I said, as the model to aspire to become like one day, right? No different than how the understudy aspires to be the main actor, actress, or main character in the movie, right? And you also in turn need this counterfeit, because this counterfeit supporting role in your production is helping to develop you as well, right? And subsequently developing your spouse. What this counterfeit is doing is helping to develop your spouse, and what you're doing is helping to develop your spouse. So I picture it like the Lord showing me like the spouse is like the middleman, right? And the counterfeit is on one end and you're on the other, and you're far ahead and the counterfeit's further behind, and the spouse is kind of in between, teetering back and forth, right? The spouse needs both the main role and the supporting role to figure out their role, and the counterfeit is in the supporting role, needing the main role to know what to do and to how to move through experience as seeing like a muse do it, right? And you're needing the supporting role of the counterfeit in order to be able to continue developing and moving forward the way that you are, right? But just don't get it, don't let Satan get it twisted up, is that this is all you. You're the main attraction here. You're the headliner. You're the main actor. You're seasoned. You're experienced. You can't take away what work you've put under your belt to get where you're at, right? And so just know that if there's things being told to you different, that's just lies sent from the enemy, and that everybody that's surrounding you or maybe in the mix is all there intentionally to support you in your role and your development and your journey and to what the Lord has his plan for you, right? So anyways, I hope this makes sense. I hope it blesses who comes across it. I hope that the Lord sends it to the ears that need to hear it. And I just hope it answers some confirmation for you. Take care. God bless.